Alrighty, so welcome to another edition of me reviewing MLS game from a hotel as I'm currently in Minnesota and I've just got back from the Minnesota United versus Houston Dynamo game about an hour ago. And by the way, as I'm speaking, I'm actually watching MLS 360 because since I'm in Central Time, that means these West Coast games are still on right now. Though one of the West Coast game actually kicked off really late, and the game between RSL and the Portland Timbers, that one actually kicked off around 10 o'clock here in Central Time. So that's going to go past midnight, and I'll basically keep an eye on that one because, like I said, try my best in terms of watching as many soccer game, even though I'm traveling and attending a MLS game like I did earlier today. And this is why MLS 360 is just a lifesaver. I mean, the ability to be able to for them to keep an eye on all the games and all the key events. That will definitely tells me in terms of how some of these games, of course, would go. But that being said, in terms of these midweek games, well, there were definitely some surprises, and we definitely saw a couple of teams that desperately need a win. They got the win, and I think it's also not surprised that is the case because in the middle of the week we see their squad rotation, and that this is where depth is going to be really tested, and even some of the best team they might have some issue in terms of not having enough depth, and maybe they kind of got caught out by a surprising result, which is kind of what we're seeing in terms of this week's action and also the game that I'm watching right now. But with that being said, let us actually talk about the first of 8 games I'm going to be reviewing as part of part one of these reviews of the midweek action. And we start off with Atlanta versus the Colorado Rapids. And speaking of which, Atlanta is definitely one of those teams that desperately needed a win because they're on this long losing streak right now. And finally, they were able to get that win, and they were able to win 4-0 in this one. Although most of the goals that they scored didn't really came until late in the game, where they pretty much blow open this game, and the floodgates basically open with Atlanta was just scoring at will. Now early on, and by the way, I'm using my iPhone because I got a little bit more technical now. Instead of putting notes on the notebook, I have put it on the notepad on my iPhone. But in the second minute, Amado would puts it wide from close range, as I thought Atlanta was on the front foot, and they get a penalty in the ninth minute after Leva handballed that one in the box. And Amada, here he is, a chance for him to step up and give Atlanta the opening goal, and instead he did it Luis Araujo. I mean, he basically blasted that one high from the spot, and I mean, Atlanta penalty kick problem continues because this is definitely becoming a bit of an issue. I mean, there's a reason why Araujo doesn't take penalty for Atlanta United anymore after that woeful miss he had against the Quakes on the the first game of the season. But now with Amada also having the same problem, yeah, it's safe to say that there might be some penalty kick taker issue right now for the Five Stripes. Though in the 24th minute, Yarbo did deny Araujo from close range, and then in the 29th minute, Amada made amends of his penalty miss. And how do you make amends of a penalty kick miss? Oh, why not score a wonderful full free kick goal? And we know that Thiago Amada probably the best free kick taker in this league, and it's no surprise that he basically bent that one over the wall of the Rapids and into the back of net. And yep, Atlanta was leading 1-0. Definitely a contention for goal of the week. But in the 35th minute, Araujo were looking for a second goal, but he hits the side netting before Sosa would miss high on the header as Atlanta was pressing for a second goal. Etienne would then miss one high before Lennon would blast it high from long range. And again, Atlanta had some opportunity to make that to get that second goal, but we do head to halftime with this one being 1-0. And this would actually kind of become a little bit of a key thing as the game goes along because in the 50th minute, we did see the first shot of the game for the Rapids as Roland just pulls that one wide before Amada was looking for his second goal in the 56th minute, but he puts it wide from close range. Peralta then missed wide on the header, and I immediately wrote, will the inability of getting that second come back to haunt Atlanta? Because we've seen it before where, teams unable to get that second goal, it's going to come back to haunt you, and that this is where, for the Rapids, they might be seeing the opportunity of the fact that, well, they're still in this game despite the fact that they've been dominated by Atlanta in this one. And they start creating some chances too. Westberg denied Leva on a curler before he denied Lewis from close range. And really, for the first time, the Rapids started to have some momentum with that sustained pressure. And this is where I said, with Atlanta, those missed opportunity, is that going to come back to haunt them? Well, thankfully, eventually they did get that second goal. It's Araujo, the one that got it from the killer second goal from Lennon. And, it took a fortunate deflection there for Atlanta. But honestly, Luis Araujo wouldn't care. I mean, he's been going for a bit of a goal drought, and he finally got a goal here to pretty much put this game to bed. But in the 87th minute, Atlanta want to make sure that it is over because they would score a third goal, and it's the young Tyler Wolf scoring here to make it 3-0 in favor of Atlanta. I believe that is his first career MLS goal, though I'm not sure because I do remember that, he did score for Atlanta once. I mean, I know his brother Owen Wolf had scored a couple for Austin, but, the other Wolf brother, Tyler Wolf, I pretty sure that he has scored before for Atlanta. If not, that is his first career MLS goal. And then just 3 minutes later, it would be 4-0 in favor of Atlanta United because, of course, Giakoumakis want to get on the score sheet. Like, he's been kind of the main man for this Atlanta side in terms of goal scoring, and he scored here from Brooks Lennon to make it 4-0 in favor of Atlanta. So, great night for Brooks Lennon, too, getting two assists. And, yeah, the floodgates were blown open, and vintage Atlanta has started to show in the last 10 minutes. They were scoring at will against this Colorado side, and that would be the final score of this game as Atlanta would win 4-0 against Colorado. The shots in this one, as I'm going to have to read the board here because I didn't put on my notepad on the phone. 27 shots compared to just 6 that Colorado has. 10 shots on goal for the 3 that Colorado has. 2 shots off target for the 11 that Atlanta has. And possession wise, or actually, no, I forgot to talk about the block shots. 6 shots that was blocked for the 1 that Colorado has. And possession wise, 68% possession compared to 32% possession that Colorado has in this game. And by the way, if you wonder why I sound a little bit tired, that's because I am. I mean, it's been a long day here. I'm here in Minnesota, and it's like 11:30 as I'm speaking. So again, this is once again some MLS review after dark, as you would say. So yeah, don't be surprised by the time when I get to the eighth game and want to talk about my game, I maybe be half asleep and maybe started to kind of forget what I am trying to say. But anyway, like I said, for Atlanta, big win for them that they desperately needed. But for Colorado, I mean, this was kind of expected. You knew that coming into this game on a midweek, and anytime we travel across the other side of the country on a short rest, it's going to be hard to be up for it, and that was kind of the case in this one for the Colorado Rapids. But moving on, in the next one, we got Charlotte versus the Chicago Fire. So again, Charlotte, another home wins, and again, they are quietly started to get themselves back into contention. A lot of people don't know that Charlotte, they actually have been having a good run of form in the last couple of games, kind of almost flying under the radar a bit early. Though early on, not much really happened as there was no shots for 15 minutes. In fact, there was really not much that happened in this one. And as I talk about the shots total, there was only 10 shots in this game. I mean, it is very rare you see that low amount of shot in a game. Though the first shot of the game did came as Merrim would have a long range shot that goes wide. I mean, why not? Just the Merrim. He was definitely feeling it in the last game against Atlanta, trying to score another one in this one, but it wasn't meant to be. But in the 27th minute, Kalina would deny Haile Selassie as that was Chicago's first opportunity, but the Fire would take the lead in the 29th minute. It's Shabilko, the one that get the Fire a 1-0 lead, and Kalina, he initially made a great save, but it actually took a rare fortunate bounce right into Shabilko. And I say a rare fortunate bounce because, with the Chicago Fire and also especially with Kasper Shabilko, it's not very often that he gets like a fortunate bounce that goes into his way. But he did in this one. He buries it on the second time of asking. And yeah, Chicago were leading 1-0, and that kind of was the scoreline heading into halftime because, like I said, there was really not much that happened in the first half. In the second half, Shabilko was looking for his second goal, but his shot was blocked away before. Once again, as I said, not much was happening in the second half. That changed in the 68th minute because in the 68th minute, one of the substitute for Charlotte and one of the youngster, Brendan Cambridge. He scored his first career goal from Miram and Bronico to make it get 1-1 in this game. And then Brady would then deny Subinski from close range, as all of a sudden the momentum was with the hosts. Like they were looking to try to get that go-ahead goal. But before that, Navarro did have a chance to retake the lead for the Fire, but he drives it wide from long range. But then in the 81st minute, I mean, after scoring your first career MLS goal, why not have yourself a career night by scoring another goal and what turns out to be the winning goal as Brendan Cambridge, the youngster, would score again here to make it 2-1 and turn this game on its heads for Charlotte FC. And yeah, that was enough for Charlotte to get a 2-1 win in this one. And the shots in this one, like I said, not many shots in this one. Both teams only had 5 shots a piece for both of these teams. 3 shots on goal for both of these teams. In fact, the stats are pretty much the same. I think this is actually the first time that I've done a review for these last 4 years where the stats are exactly the same in terms of shots on goal, block, and shots off target. And like I said, 5 shots for both teams, 3 shots on goal for both teams, 1 shots off target for both teams, and 1 shot block for both teams. Now, possession-wise, it wasn't actually 50-50. I mean, that would be just kind of an interesting line and a rare kind of how do you say it? I mean, I don't want to say it's a trifecta or a trifecta. Maybe it could be like a hectafecta that we have seen with all the stats aligned. But no, instead, Charlotte actually had more of the possession, 64% possession compared to 36% possession that the Fire has. And like I said, Charlotte, they're quietly starting to get themselves up in the standings. And after all the heat that Latanzio had to face, he started to kind of turn things around. And all of a sudden, you don't hear that Latanzio out or complain from the front office from the Charlotte fans. I mean, again, winning definitely cures that, and that's what Charlotte has been doing a lot lately. But for the Chicago Fire, that's not really the case. I mean, yes, they finally got a win last game, but it seems like that new head coach boost only lasts maybe one game because yeah, this was kind of a performance where I don't want to say it's a very Chicago Fire s role performance because most of the goals that they concede weren't really dumb or boneheaded kind of plays, but I mean it's only the Chicago Fire would concede 2 goals and lose to a game and concede it against a guy that's only starting in his 4th career MLS games. But moving on in the next match, we got Cincinnati versus Montreal. So this was a big game for Montreal because we know that they've been on a red hot streak, but now playing against the top team in the Eastern Conference. Well, actually not the well, yeah, actually now it is the top team in the Eastern Conference. That is FC Cincinnati. You wonder how they're gonna do. Well, the answer is yeah, they did not do very well, especially in the beginning as a nightmare start would happen just 75 seconds into this game when Joel Waterman, of course, unfortunately scored in his own net. Again, that I think is the fastest goal that scored this year in MLS. I mean, I know Frank Boley scored the fastest goal in the game we saw over the weekends, but I think this is even faster, and it's again unfortunate that it turns out to be an own goal for Joel Waterman. But you got to give credit to Cincinnati and give credit to Barrial too. I mean, he puts a delicious ball into the box, and unfortunately, when you're a defender trying to deal with those crosses, yeah, it's always going to be tough to try to clear your line when those balls are put in a dangerous spot. And Waterman just didn't get that right. And Cincinnati with a dream start with a 1-0 lead. Barrial then hits one into the side netting, and you can clearly see that Cincinnati was feeling it early. Like 5 minutes in, already 2 really good looks, almost made it 2-0. Though on the other end, Lassiter did have the first shot for Montreal in the 22nd minute, but he hits one right to Sautano before in the 25th minute, Acosta doubles the lead as he scored here to make it 2-0. It was a terrible giveaway there from Montreal, but even worse defending for Montreal. Like, I know Lucho Acosta is good and he definitely went beast mode in terms of scoring this goal, but at the same time, I mean, that is some woeful defending there for Montreal. And yeah, They were down 2-0 in this one. In the 43rd minute, Seahawks would deny Baji from 18 before he denied Baji again just a couple of minutes later in the near post, as since he was looking for that third goal. But we do head to halftime with the score 2-0 in favor of Cincinnati. Now in the second half, Schreiner did hit one over from close range before he hits one right to Saotano just 7 minutes later in the 54th minute. But I thought it was a much promising start for Montreal, and you got to give credit to them too, because 2-0 down against the best team in the league, they could have easily quit, but that's not what we saw from Montreal. They were trying to make this interesting. Ibrahim would heads it high from the near post before Vasquez did try to chip Siwas, who was off his lines there, but he missed that one high. Costa then puts it just wide from close range, and I thought Cincinnati definitely seems to wake up because, oh, also, by the way, for some reason, it says MLS 360 has ended. Wait, how? There's no way MLS 360 has ended. There's one more game. Are they not gonna? Yeah, they're not gonna finish talking about the game between RSL and the Portland Timbers. Well, that's kind of surprised. I guess maybe they probably have a contract that, yeah, once it's over, we're not gonna go over the time slot there. They're not. I guess they're probably not doing overtime, but now I'm gonna pull up that game right. There's actually just 19 minutes left in this game between RSL and the Portland Timbers, which, if you wonder, it's actually 0-0 in that one. But anyway, getting back to the review of this game, Vasquez then tried to chip Seawas, who was off his lines there, but he missed just high before Acosta puts it just wide from close. Oh, I already mentioned that already. But, Cincinnati, they seem to wake up after letting Montreal back into this game, though Schreiner did hit one right to Celentano, but then in the 65th minute, this pretty much what was the final nail in the coffin for Montreal, as Brendan Vasquez would score from Wobodo to make it 3-0 in favor of Cincinnati. And again, it was a gift. Like, again, these three goals that Montreal has conceded, I mean, they were just kind of gifted that goal. I mean, the own goal, and then the bad giveaway and the bad defense that they conceded. And here again, just giving the ball away in a bad spot, and Montreal or Cincinnati pounce on it, and yeah, they made it 3-0 up to that point. It was almost 4-0 when Kubo blasted into the side netting, and as time wound down, it was kind of like that garbage time where both teams was just kind of seizing things out, knowing this resort is pretty much all but done. Though Rea did hit one right to Saotano before Acosta would hit one right to Siwas in the 4th minute. And just a small note, I want to ask on this play, who is Cucho? Because I think Eric Kerr, the play-by-play commentator in this one, he basically said Cucho a couple of times, and then he basically said, "Oh, that one hits right to C Wasp." Who's Cucho? Because I'm pretty sure Eric is calling the wrong game, and probably forgot that he's calling a Columbus game instead of calling a Cincinnati game. I mean, I know he and Loy Sam has done a couple of Cincinnati game, but yeah, Acosta is not Cucho Hernandez. I mean, that was kind of weird to see him call Cucho. I mean, I guess maybe it's the 4th minute of stoppage time, and maybe he was kind of getting tired, and maybe he forgot that that's not actually Cucho, but instead Lucho Acosta. But yeah, I mean, that was weird to hear, and I had to write that and say, well, who's Cucho? Like, that's not Cucho, that's Lucho Acosta. That's not the right Ohio team that he's calling. But anyway, in the end, Cincinnati with a 3-0 win, and the shots in this one, 15 shots compared to 10 that Montreal has. Both teams had 5 shots on goal, 3 shots that was off target compared to 4 that Montreal has, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 1 that Montreal has, and possession-wise, 46% possession compared to 54% possession that Montreal has in this game. So yeah, for Cincinnati, a good win for them. Probably the first convincing win that they had, because there's been having a lot of close games, as I actually dropped the board there here for a second. But yeah, for Montreal, I mean, this is going to be tough for them to kind of evaluate the fact that you can make the judgment that these winning streak was because they play easy team. But when you play against the toughest team in the Eastern Conference and on a short rest, it's going to happen. So we'll see how her and Lasada team will bounce back heading into the next game. But moving on into the next game, that is, we got Columbus versus the Galaxy, right? Yeah. We got Columbus versus the LA Galaxy, and yeah, the Galaxy trying to carry that momentum that they had against the Crew after that big win against the Quakes in the Cali Clasico, and it did not happen. But it's not because of lack of trying. I mean, there was a couple of chances that for the Galaxy in this one to at least get one back and make this interesting. But in the end, the Crew. We talk about a team that desperately needed a win because they've been going through a bit of a rough patch, but they got exactly that in this one. Though early on, Schulte would deny Edwards as the flag went up there, and there was no shots for the first 15 minutes because that save from Schulte wouldn't have counted on the stat chart because the flag went up there. But the first shot of the game did came in the 16th minute, and it was Ramirez, the one that hits it high from close before Matan would hit one high and wide. And then Cucho, of course, was in on goal there, and he was trying to do the cheeky chip, trying to chip it over Bond, but Jonathan Bond says no. He decided to stand tall and able to gather that one. I mean, again, I understand what was Cucho trying to do. He was trying to be a little bit cheeky there, but I'm pretty sure if you're a Crew fan, you really wish that Cucho wasn't being too cute there and just maybe be slots one home like we've seen him do multiple times for this Crew team. But that being said, the momentum was with Columbus as they were pressing for the opening goal, and they eventually would get the opening goal in the 25th minute as Aria would score from Cucho to make it 1-0 in favor of the Crew. Joveljic did try to respond instantly for the Galaxy, but he puts it high as the foul was called. But then in the 43rd minute, Columbus would double their lead. It's Malte Amundsen getting his first start for Columbus in this one, and he would pay Wilfred Nancy favor by scoring his first goal for the Columbus Crew here, as he scored here from Matan to make it 2-0 in favor of the Crew, and that would be the scoreline heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, one quick thing to mention. 4 seconds into the second half, a foul was called, and a yellow card was given to Ramirez. That maybe be the record in terms of the fastest yellow card that I've seen a player get heading into the second half. Maybe the fastest foul being called in the second half because it was quite crazy. The fact that just 4 seconds into the second half, we already had a foul that it happened. But that being said, in the 50th minute, Joveljic did pulls it wide from close range before Aguirre would nick the post from close. And again, I thought the Galaxy were on the front foot. Again, this the team that they definitely don't want to show some fight and try to get one back in this one. Schulte then denied Delgado in the front post before Chicharito would head it right to Schulte. Cucho then had a rare opportunity for the Crew in the second half. In fact, this was the first opportunity that the Crew had in the second half, but he hits it just wide. And really, as the time winds down, I mean, I feel like Columbus, they kind of put their foot off the gas heading into the second in half and just kind of trying to cruise to a 2-0 win. And yes, I know that they have a comfortable lead, but we've seen Columbus, especially last season under Caleb Porter, blowing those leads, and that I think that was maybe a little bit too soon for them to just kind of cruise their way, especially they were allowing the Galaxy some opportunity to get one back. But in the 85th minute, Chicharito would hit one right to Schulte, and that would be the last chance that the Galaxy would have. As in the end, Columbus, they walk away with a 2-0 win. I believe they snap their game losing streak and get themselves back to winning ways at home. Shots in this one, 10 shots compared to 9 the Galaxy had. 3 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Galaxy had. 4 shots off target with the 6 that the Galaxy had. 3 shots that was blocked with the 1 that the Galaxy had. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that the Galaxy has in this game. So, like I said, for the Crew, it's a big win for them to end a bit of a losing streak, and for the Galaxy, just could not continue that momentum that they had against the Quakes in the Cali Clasico. I mean, it was going to be tough because while some of these teams have a short rest, the Galaxy probably have the shortest rest. I mean, they just play on Sunday, and it was a late Sunday game too. So just to prepare this one and only get like 2.5 days of rest to prepare for this one. I mean, I know Galaxy fans won't think of this, but I think when you look at the performance that they put, I mean, it wasn't a bad road game for the Galaxy. They had the chances. I mean, if they would have just buried those chances, maybe this game would have been a lot different. But alas, that was not meant to be. And in the end, they're going to have to try to bounce back heading into their weekend matchup this week. But that being said, I am now going to change boards and look at the last four games, including the game that I've just attended about 2 hours ago between Minnesota United and the Houston Dynamo. All right, so now it is officially past midnight, which means that it is truly now me doing a review of these MLS game after dark, or to quote what Andrew Weeby in Extra Time would say, it's the brown liquid special, which means I've got to take a sip of this. I mean, it's not really a brown liquid, it's just water, but gonna have to have some water to try to stay awake in terms of talking about these remaining games as part of part number one of the review. But moving on, the next one we got Orlando versus NYCFC, and it looks like both of these teams kind of revert back to what we saw a couple of years ago, which is they love to draw against each other by a final score of 1-1 because that was basically the final score of this game. Although for Orlando, they will be very frustrated that they could not seize out this one. They came so close to doing it too. And they actually got off to a great start in this one as Gonzalo would heads it high from close range, but then just 1 minute later, they would take the opening lead of this game. It's Arjan Karat. He scored here from Gonzalez and Torres to give Orlando a 1-0 lead. It was a powerful header there from Karat to knock that one in. And yeah, Orlando gets a 1-0 lead, though the first shot for NYCFC didn't came until the 32nd minute because then the game kind of went to a bit of a stalemate a bit. But the first shot for NYCFC, as I mentioned, happened in the 32nd minute when Magno hits a weak shot right to Galese before Galese actually had an awkward save to make after he denied Pereira's shot that actually took a deflection. Now, at first, I thought, Galese, when he made that awkward save, I thought that was kind of uncharacteristic of him, kind of with a delayed reaction to save that one. But that one actually did took a deflection, which hence that's why he kind of had a really awkward kind of moment to readjust himself in the last second to kind of palm that one away. Well, actually, not palm it away, but kick that one away there. But that was really the first time we've seen NYCFC with some sustained pressure. They were looking for the opening goal. We do head to halftime with Orlando leading 1-0. Now in the second half, more pressure from NYCFC. Galese would deny Chanot in the front post before Sego would miss wide from long range as NYCFC straight off the bat on the front foot and look for the equalizer. But then Barraza denied Angulo from close range before he denied Carlos, who tried to toe poke that one in from close. And all of a sudden, Orlando were looking threatening and they were looking to try to score the second goal. Though on the other end, Galese would deny Pereira from long range. And once again, Galese was on his game. He looked like he was trying to steal one for Orlando. Cartagena then hits one right to Barraza before in the 87th minute, Sego would miss it wide from close range. But then, just 2 minutes later, he would score his first career MLS goal as he scored here from Magno to tie the game up at one apiece, and that would be the final score of this game. Again, just like it was a couple of years ago, it seems like both of these teams not only love to tie against each other, but they always love to tie each other by a final score of 1-1, and that was the score line after this one. But the shots in this one, 10 shots compared to 14 that NYCFC had, 6 shots on goal compared to 4 that Orlando City has. Both team had 3 shots that was off target, and then 3 shots that was blocked with a 5 that NYCFC had, and possession-wise, 48% possession compared to 52% possession that NYCFC has in this game. So, like I said, for Orlando, they'll be a little bit frustrated that they drop points out of this one, but more importantly, now they're kind of starting to go through a bit of a winless run. I mean, I think it's only like 3 games without a win since their last win, and that's definitely not going to be satisfied the fan base that are once again kind of a little bit restless because this was besides that good moment that they had in the opening bid, it was kind of a flat performance on the attack, and Calais a couple of times had to bail them out. But for NYCFC, I mean, yes, for it's a good point for them, especially for a team that has really had problems on the road. I think that they'll be happy that they got a point out of this. Especially, I feel like this is really one of the few times where we actually saw NYCFC look really good on the attack. And if it wasn't for Galese, maybe they could have even got all 3 points and finally getting their first row win of the season. But that's gonna have to wait. But at least they did get a rare point in this game against Orlando City. But moving on in terms of the next match, and now moving on into the next two matches that ended in a nil-nil draw. We definitely had a couple of games that ended in a nil-nil draw. In fact, a little spoiler alert. Right before I clicked the recording button for this part number one of this review, the game between the Timbers and RSL just finished, and that one also ended in a nil-nil draw. But in this game between Toronto and the New York Red Bulls, I've got to mention this is actually the Wooden Spoon Derby in the Eastern Conference in the preview. And while it ended in a nil-nil draw, and you're thinking, well, looks like that's just kind of a classic Wooden Spoon Derby in the Eastern Conference where not much happened between two teams that desperately need a win. That cannot be further from away from the truth. I mean, there was actually some chances for both of these teams, but I think it's just kind of signified why both of these teams are sitting near the bottom of the Eastern Conference with the lack of finishing. In the 7th minute, Insigne was in on goal there, but he hits one right to Cornell before Dam would hit one right to Johnson. Fernandez then puts one over the bar. I thought the Red Bulls were the better team early on. I mean, they were kind of controlling this game, but they weren't being very clean in the final third and especially in their finishing. Though on the other end, Bernadeschi would hit one that was blocked away before Sapong would hit it wide from close. And then on the other end, Johnson would deny Harper from close, and then Harper actually went beast mode in the 42nd minute, and was actually brought down in the box, but no penalty was called. There was not really many appeal from the Red Bulls player after Harper went beast mode there in the box. Cornell then denied Bernadeschi on the free kick, and again, some chances for both of these teams to get the opening goal, but we do head to halftime scoreless between both of these teams. Now, in the second half, Akinola did put one just wide before Manuel came the closest of both teams scoring the opening goal with him struck the post there, but it actually fall kindly right back to Wiki Carmona, who puts it just over the bar. And again, just lightning start to the second half. Both of these teams desperate to get that opener, desperate to get the win to turn around their season. Johnson then denied Barlow on a curler, and then the game kind of started to become stale. I think it started to become stale mainly because I think both of these teams were getting frustrated that they could not get the opening going. Almost like both of these teams kind of started to lose belief that, yeah, here we go again. This is why we're in the bottom of the Eastern Conference because we just cannot finish, and not to mention also dealing with injuries too, because these two teams has been pretty much the most snake bitten team in terms of injury bug this season. In the 78th minute, Cornell would deny Insigne in the front post. The shots were 12 to 11 in favor of the Red Bulls for 80 minutes. So again, very tight game between both of these teams. And really, as the time winds down, the biggest question is who really wants this win in this wooden spoon derby? Who can be the one that can be a little bit more clinical in terms of the finishing? Antonoglu did try to do so for TFC, but he pulls it wide as he was in on goal there. And in the end, the answer of who really wants this wooden spoon derby win in the Eastern Conference in this matchup is nobody because it ended a nil-nil draw in this one. Shots in this one, 12 shots apiece for both of these teams, 3 shots on goal for both these teams, 4 shots off target compared to 6 that the Red Bulls had, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 5 that Toronto has, and possession-wise, 57% possession compared to or actually, is it 57%? Yeah. Oh, I actually wrote this wrong there. It should be 57% possession compared to 3%. I mean that doesn't add up to 100% when I put 46% possession. But yeah, again, this was it. This was a game that, it wasn't because of lack of chances why we didn't see a goal in this one. And that, again, this is also one of those games where both of these teams are not going to be happy with the result because they desperately need a win to really get themselves going this season. And while the Red Bulls did kind of get that in the New York Derby, they would have loved to follow that up. And for TFC again, it's the pressure is getting harder and harder for Bob Bradley because this team should not be fighting near the bottom of the Eastern Conference with the talent that they had and the money that they spent this off season. But now moving on in the next match is the Philadelphia Union versus DC United, and this will be the final game that I'm reviewing that I actually had to watch the highlights of it because the final game that I'm going to be reviewing is the game that I went a couple of hours ago. But in this game between the Union and DC, well, good news for DC fans. they didn't concede a goal against the Union. And I've said before in the review that it's going to consider a win for DC if they can, if they don't lose like by a ridiculous amount of score like they did last year. And they did one better. I mean, they got a draw out of this game against the Union. Now, albeit the Union were kind of rotating a bit, but I'm pretty sure DC and Wayne Rooney he wouldn't care because he unfortunately for Wayne Rooney he was part of that team that lost 6-0 against DC United last season. And then, of course, Hernan Losada also lost 7-0 against DC, and then he, of course, got fired because of that. But early on, it looked like it could be the case because Joaquin Torres puts it into the back of the net. But fortunately for DC, they dodged the bullet because the flag came up for offside. But imagine if that flag didn't come up for offside. If that was 1-0 in favor of the Union, I'm pretty sure every DC fan, and even the players, are going to have bad flashback memories from last season where it's like, oh, so this is how it's gonna go again. Are we gonna get absolutely destroyed because of the fact that we give up a goal just 3 minutes into this one? But like I said, they dodged the ball, lit there, and could thank the flag because of that. But in the 7th minute, Blake would deny Cleek on a full stretch save, and then he had to deny Canals from close range. And again, besides the early scare, I thought DC was the better team. Like they actually forced Andre Blake to make some big save there to keep this one at 0-0. Though on the other end, Carranza would hit one right to Miller before Benteke would flash one wide from close range. Then Blake would absolutely rob Kudibietro from point blank. And once again, Blake was on his game, and he was single-handedly bailing this Union team where I thought the defense for the Union weren't very good in this game, but that's why they have Andre Blake. I mean, even when that defense is not at their best, Andre Blake sometimes makes some ridiculous save to bail them out there, and it's the reason why this is still 0-0 as we head into the second half. Now, in the second half, Real would puts it wide from close range, as I thought it was a much better start for the Union looking for the opening goal in the second half. Though Miller did deny Carranza and kind of make amends for it because on this, after he tried to throw it back into the play, he threw it right into a Union player. Like now, he is fortunate the fact that when he threw that one right to a Union player, it was kind of like a long throw there that was intercepted, still in his own box and not well. Actually, it was intercepted in his team area, but at least it's not in his own box because yeah, if it was in his own box, he would have been in a whole lot of trouble. But still, he had to make a save here because again, a bad mistake there from Miller, and he kind of make amends of it after Carranza put a really good shot from long range that Miller had to dive full stretch to save that. Bandeke then hits it right to the post, and then there was a scramble in the box as that header was into the post, and Canals had a chance to tap it in, but he took a swing and a miss and could not connect that one. Wagner then hits it high from close in the 78th minute, and I thought the game was up for grabs. Like, we just saw some really good chances for both of these teams. Who's going to be the one that gets the opening goal? Well, Pereira almost was that player to do so, but he puts it just high from close range for the Union in the 3rd minute stoppage time. And just like the last game, this game ended in a scoreless draw. As the shots in this one, 16 shots with 11 that DC had, 2 shots on goal with a 3 that DC had, 4 shots that was blocked. Actually, I'm sorry, 6 shots that was blocked for both of these teams, and possession-wise, 45% possession compared to 55% possession that DC has in this game. And again, overall, it is pretty clear that DC is going to be the more happier side because after what happened last season when they got destroyed 13-0 in those 2 meetings against the Union. I mean, not only the fact that they did not concede a goal in this next meeting, but they get a draw out of that one, and they got a draw on the road against the Union, a place that isn't very easy to get points. Yeah, they're gonna take it every way they have. But for the Union, miss opportunity to get 3 points against a team that they pretty much just killed them last year. But at the same time, you can also say that they maybe a little bit fortunate there too, because again, it was not a great game for the Union, one of the worst game at home this season. But Andre Blake bailed them out, and they were able, and that he is kind of the reason why. But was nil at the end of it. But moving on now to the game that I of course watched a couple of hours ago in person, and it's the reason why I'm incredibly tired right now. In fact, I probably should have reviewed this one first and be a little bit more lively talking about this one. And that, of course, is the Houston Dynamo versus Minnesota. So obviously, in the preview, I mentioned this is a must-win for the Loons. Like knowing the fact that Houston was without two of their best players in Bossi and Herrera because of red card that they both of those players got. This is a game that the Loons has to get a win. Now, obviously, ideally, I would hope that they would get an easy win in this one and not make me feel really stressed out in the last 10 minutes. But at the same time, when you're on a long losing streak and a winless run that the Loons has been since early April, I take any win that I can get, and they did exactly that by squeaking out a 1-0 win. Though it wasn't really a good start for the Loons because after Trapwood puts one high and wide, and oh, you know what? I just realized I forgot to upload the quick recap after the game was over. So I'll probably do that right after when I finish recording this video. I probably should have done this before I actually record these video. But anyway, after Trap puts one high and wide, which I think in that quick recap I said it was Fragapani the one that puts high and wide. It was actually Will Trap. That was the player. So a correction that there from my video that I made in terms of my quick recap after this game was over from Allianz Field. But Karaskia would then pulls it wide from close range, and I thought the Loons got to watch out for those transition because we know Houston. This is a team that likes to play on the transition at time, and there was times where Minnesota was getting caught out on those transition. Though another thing that I've noticed early in this game is that the Dynamo kind of controlled this game, and I was kind of concerned in the early bit, seeing the Loons getting off to a slow start and really coming out of flat because this is a game that they have to win this one. Like against a team like Houston that they have pretty much beat the last five time and really trying to finally get a win to snap out of this long funk that they've been in since early April. It was not encouraging sign to see this team getting off to a slow start. But thankfully, despite that, they did get an opening goal just 15 minutes into this one as Longwane that gets the opening goal for the Loons to give them a 1-0 lead. I mean, who knew that Bongi Longwane is now the goal scorer for this team? I mean, I know that the South African has a lot of raw talent, but man, this season he has shown a lot of improvement to a point where he is pretty much started carrying the offense with him scoring the last couple of goals for this Minnesota United team. Though that being said, that goal probably shouldn't have happened if the Dynamo didn't just turn the ball over in their own half. I mean, it was a terrible turnover from them, and they pay the price for that. So yeah, Minnesota gets a 1-0 lead, exactly what they needed in this game that they desperately needed, and in the 22nd minute, that lead almost went away because Ibrahim was in on goal there, and he was only denied by the post. Yeah, that was that close for the Loons to concede just 7 minutes in, and that yeah, they must be thanking the post for the to dodge a bullet of them just conceding right after they got the lead 15 minutes in. Bear then puts it wide from close range. I thought there was just way too many gaps that was opening up for the Dynamo to explode point there. Though in the 41st minute, Clark did had an incredible double save, robbing both Fragapani and Longwane from close range. Like I couldn't believe it. Like I could not believe how did Steve Clark make that save. In fact, if you want to talk about the man of the match, I mean, I know Longwane is gonna get it, but you gotta say Steve Clark is right up there because Steve Clark makes some really big save in this one to keep the Dynamo in, and this was probably the best one. I mean, I have no idea how he like the first one was great. Well, the second one was out of this world. Like I have no idea how he was able to get up quickly and still deny Longwane from close range. Though in the 45th minute, he would deny Maria in the back post as the Loons were pressing late before halftime for the second goal. But we do head to halftime with Minnesota leading 1-0. Now in the second half, Karaskia would curls it high from close before Clark would deny Fragapani from close range, as I thought both of these teams was getting some good early chances. Maria then was in on goal there, but Yeah, I mean, Luis Maria, probably one of the most cursed number nine in the league. Yeah, this is when you know a number nine is not having any confidence and is dealing with a goal drought. I mean, he was caught into two minds there. He didn't know should he shoot that one or should he pass that one, and instead that he just kind of put a weak kind of. I think he was trying to pass it, but yeah, he just kind of put a weak cross, and Clark easily was able to cling to that one. Then Seba Ferreira would puts one right to Clark in the 62nd minute, and I just thought that the longer this stays at 1-0, the more I'm assuming the Loons will find ways to blow this because it was just like knowing the fact that this team has that habit of blowing late leads, especially from what we saw in the U.S. Open Cup, and especially in terms of just Minnesota sports in general. I mean, I found it hard to believe that they can hold on to this 1-0 lead. Alferson then hits one right to Dane St. Clair before Taylor hits a weak shot wide in the 79th minute. And really, as the time winds down, the Dynamo, they were pushing hard to try to get the equalizer. Now, obviously, they didn't really create some good looking chances. And again, that a lot has to do with the fact that they really miss Hector Herrera in this game, and also one of their penalty kick specialists, Bossy, in this one too, because they really kind of lack that quality in the final third to really create those decent chances. And this is also why I'm glad that we weren't playing the strongest Dynamo team, because with those two guys, I think the result maybe could have been different in terms of creating those dangerous chances. But still, that being said, that didn't help me in terms of just praying in the last 10 minutes that this is not going to be one of those games that they're going to blow a lead. I mean, I didn't travel about 2,000 miles to see the Loons once again blow a late lead. Though in the second minute of stoppage time, Rosales trying to put it away, but he blasts that one high from long range, and it's also a good thing the fact that there was only 3 minutes of stoppage time. I think they also gone a little bit over in terms of it, because of course it seems like the referee hates Minnesota this season in terms of stoppage time, either giving them too much stoppage time when they're in a winning position, or giving them too little stoppage time when they're in a losing position. But still, in the end, the Loons, they hold on to win 1-0 in this one. It's the first home league win this season. I mean, it only taken till May 18th that for them to finally get to get their first league win and finally get to sing Wonderwall in league play for the first time this year. But the shots in this one, 12 shots apiece for both of these teams, 5 shots on goal compared to 4 that the Dynamo has. 4 shots off target for both of these teams, 3 shots that was blocked for the 4 that the Dynamo has, and possession-wise, 55% possession compared to 45% possession that Minnesota has in this game. And again, for the Dynamo, again, they were always going to be up against it in this one, and the fact that Steve Clark was able to keep them into this game, and kind of gave them a belief that they can get something out of this one. I mean, I think that's the best you can say. I don't think a lot of Dynamo fans will be a little bit disappointed about this result, because we knew that they were going to be short-handed, and this knowing the Dynamo on the row, a lot of Dynamo fans will say it's an automatic L, but still they did give Minnesota something to think about. And again, I'll just reiterate what I said about the Loons after this win. I really don't care here if they won this game in an ugly way. When you're on a long winless run like this Minnesota team has been on since early April, just getting a win. Give the locker room some confidence back, and give that belief that, hey, we can get ourselves back to a decent way. And now, knowing the fact that Reynoso also could be getting closer than we think to return, because he have actually just been announced just a couple of days ago that he's now clear to play. Things are maybe start to finally look up for this Minnesota United team. I'm saying maybe in a very caution way, because they still have a pretty tough stretch coming up. I mean, going on the road against the Timbers, that's not going to be an easy task. And then they got a U.S. Open Cup game against the Dynamo. Depending on how Adrian Heath, if he's going to really go for the U.S. Open Cup, just like what I saw they did in 2019, they might really prioritize that competition. But either way, again, it's a great win for the Loons. It's great to see them win again at Allianz Field, and also so great to seeing Wonderwall once again Allianz Field. I mean, it's hard to believe that, that was actually the first singing of the Wonderwall in the league plays. I mean, actually, it's not technically the first singing of Wonderwall. I mean, they did sing Wonderwall after they beat the Union in that U.S. Open Cup, but it is officially the first time that they sing Wonderwall in regulation and in league play. And let's just hope that that's the first of many in terms of this season, because yes, they got this home win. They finally got this monkey off the back. Now let's keep this going, and don't drop too many home points that they have dropped way too much already in this early part of the season. But there you have it. That is pretty much it for the review of this first part, looking at these first 8 games. Again, when I get back to the Bay Area tomorrow, I will be reviewing the second part. And as I also mentioned, there's definitely some surprises in terms of these late games too, some unexpected the resort in these late games I'll talk about tomorrow. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these 8 games that happen to begin the midweek action of match week number 13. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.